Have you ever been in a yoga class and the teacher at some point says, take a vinyasa, and you either know exactly what that means and you do it, or you kind of look around the room and you see what everybody else is doing and you're like, oh yeah, that swoop thing. Got it. Yes. And you do that. That was my experience. The first 2 years I was practicing yoga. And not only was that not very fun because I felt left out. I felt like I was missing something. Like everybody knew this secret code that I didn't know, because it wasn't like it was being explained to me. It was just like, do this word. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even know what to look up. Like if I were to go look it up at home, I couldn't remember the word maybe, or I didn't know. And sometimes you don't want to go talk to your teacher after class because whatever. So I was just like, someday I'll figure it out. And then I was like, I'm not figuring this out. I'm going to look it up. And I looked it up and I learned some stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, welcome to my podcast, Multidimensional Being, where we focus on who we are being, because that determines what we are doing. And I am mostly just here to yap. I'm mostly here just to chit chat, to talk about all of the stuff that doesn't really get talked about in a regular yoga class, or even just it's stuff people really don't know. Some people know. I think it's more, it's not that people don't know. People know. People are really smart. People catch on. People buy books. People will listen to podcasts like this one. And so some people know. But some people don't know until they go to a teacher training, and not all people want to go to a teacher training. So here I am. And we'll talk about vinyasa, flow yoga, flow state, philosophy, culture, cultures, pop culture. Yeah. We're going to talk about it all. And I'm excited because I have found myself wanting to talk about this stuff with my friends and yoga teachers and students. And there's just sometimes not enough time in the day to hang around the studio and chit chat as much as, we could we do it. We definitely do it. But it would be so nice to be able to hear this while you're I don't know, you can be cozied. Sometimes after class, it's you just did your thing and you're and you're shavasana and you need to go rest or take a shower or chill. And it's not always the time to be chatting. So now is the time to be chatting. So, yeah, welcome to episode 1 of Multidimensional Being. Take a vinyasa. What is vinyasa and how can I take one? So I have been practicing vinyasa yoga for since about 2011, maybe 2012. And it's always been my favorite. I have a dance background and a gymnastics background, and it's, you do a lot of some similar stuff in a flow class. And I've been teaching flow since 2015, and I've learned a lot. And so I'm here to talk about that, and maybe my knowledge will help other people who are teaching or want to be teaching or are just practicing and want to know more. I also think this is just interesting to learn about like why yoga is so popular, because it really does mirror a lot of things that make it fun and exciting to learn. So what is a vinyasa? Typically, when a teacher says vinyasa, take a vinyasa in a class, they're referring to 3 shapes used as the transition to get you from one shape to another, one side to another, or like from standing to the floor, or, it's a transition. And it's a set series transition that is used in most vinyasa classes, like that there's that one, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, because it's really easy to move from that position, from downward facing dog. It's a really good transition to get you even on both sides. And so when a teacher says take a vinyasa, their intention is to transition you. It's to keep you warm. It's to make the flow feel fluid rather than, okay, we're going to do tree pose, and then we're going to stop. And then we're going to do it on the other side, and then we're going to stop. It's like you can do tree pose to one leg mountain to airplane to warrior one and crescent to a twist back to warrior one, and then take a vinyasa, hands down, step back, chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. And then it's really easy to make your way back to the top of the mat to do that same thing on the other side. Tree pose, one-legged mountain, airplane, warrior one, do your twist, back to warrior one, and take your vinyasa. And then you can move from, then you're back, you can pause in downward facing dog, and you can move into something else, or it's just really easy to make a fluid transition. And I think that's my point, is it's like a fluid transition, and we transition all the time in life. And I think it's kind of supposed to mirror that in a way. Like if you were to move literally houses to transition from one house to another, you have to pack. You have to pick the house that you're going to move into. You have to clean and get the moving truck and decide when you're going to move and all of that. There's a big transition. And then you actually have to like drive there, or however, you have to get the stuff from one place to another. And you don't want to drive way out of the way. You don't want your car to break down. You want everything to be fluid and transition nicely. And so you prepare for that while you're at home, rather than getting to the middle of the transition and being like, oh shit, or getting to your new house and being like, wow, I didn't bring anything. I left it all over there. And so we think about our energy in that way, and how we're using our energy and where we're putting our energy. And I just think that's really interesting, because most of the time, if I am skipping a transition because I'm too tired, it's usually because I expended too much energy before. And that can mean before, like earlier in the practice, or that can mean before, like earlier in my life, like that day I did a little bit too much, which is not wrong. You're totally allowed to skip the chaturanga, the up dog, and the down dog. And I think that's what I'm trying to say, is most of the time we're like, yeah, you can totally skip the vinyasa. No, actually you shan't. You shan't not skip the vinyasa. And I think that's because it's really important to take some kind of transition, even if that's just stepping in and out of down dog, even if that's moving into tabletop and doing some cats and cows. Like, pick a transition that gets you from one place to the other, that cleans the slate, that makes you feel a little less lopsided. Like right after you do like a 2-minute pigeon, your right leg feels so radically different than your left leg. It's almost like to go straight to the other side is jarring. And it also just doesn't give your body time to like digest the experience. And so it's like a digestive cookie. It's like your Biscoff on the plane to help you not get the rumblies. It's your ginger ale. It's your safe transition. It's your moving truck that has a lot of space. Not a really tiny truck that has no space, because if you think about it, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog is like a tiny ass moving truck. And what if your stuff doesn't fit in there that day? Or what if... Anyways. So that being said, we can totally modify. You can drop your knees. You don't have to do chaturanga. You can do cobra instead of upward facing dog. You can do table instead of downward facing dog. You can do none of those things and step somewhere and take a breath. That can be a vinyasa. So I feel like that's something I don't say a lot. And it's like so many words. So how would I say that in a yoga class? And even in the midst of teacher trainings where we're talking about, elbows in for chaturanga because you want to keep people's shoulders safe. Like some of that, oh yeah, and that can get lost in the mix. Do I enjoy chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog? Yes. Does it make my back really freaking grumpy if I do a lot of them and they're kind of sloppy, or if I don't know. I've been like doing a lot of weird other exercises that day, so that they don't go together. I don't know. Yeah. So transition. Now, vinyasa is also the name of a class. It's also the name of like a style of yoga, vinyasa yoga, power vinyasa. So what is that? And, yoga can be named, like classes can be named after a lot of different things like power and whatever. But that's referring to like the vinyasa approach. And vinyasa is a Sanskrit word that means to place in a special way. And so it really does not mean chaturanga, up dog, down dog. It means to like intentionally place something. So when you like get home from work and you're changing clothes, you like throw your shirt on the floor. But if you were to take off your very important diamond ring to wash the dishes, you would place it in the tray with all of your mind so that you know that it's there, so you don't worry about it. You know it's there. You placed it in a special way. And so we place our bodies in a special way during our practice and after our practice, because how we treat ourselves during our practice is also like the microcosm to the macrocosm of how we treat ourselves out there and how we treat everybody else. So we just need to check in with that. Are we taking time in our transitions? Are we too tired once it's time to transition? Yeah, like a little energy audit. I do those all the time. Like, where? So vinyasa is a style I love, and that's why I teach it and practice it. Yeah. It represents like this like life cycle, this like bell curve, this mountain shape. And it's very creative, as in the teacher usually is creating this flow for the class. And so you can do different arms. There's different, it's not a set series. Like it's not the same thing every single time. The teacher has freedom to kind of make stuff up. And that's very fun. And that's very creative. That being said, I think it's a little easier to burn out when that's what you're teaching, because it can feel a little bit, you can have like pressure to teach something different every single time, or to, like if you don't want to create something every single time, then you feel vanilla. I felt that for sure. And I think that's just another layer. And with this life cycle, it's also like everything has that life cycle. People, plants, animals, art. You like imagine it in your head, and then one day you make a plan, and then it's birthed, and you have the growing pains of like being really bad at it and like, warming up, if you will. And then you get taught a few things and you're like, okay, I've got this. And you're like moving and you like gather up some heat. And then that heat like gets you to the top of the mountain where you're like, yes, I did it. Here it is. And then it kind of has to die. And that might mean that like your passion for it dies because you're moving on, or like it actually dies. Literally. So it's very like poetic, and it has this whole philosophy behind it, which again doesn't really get talked about. It's kind of this whirlwind of like sink or swim. Here you are in your class, and cat cows, sun salute, warriors, dancing warrior, the half moon. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? And it's not till I get into teacher training that I actually get to explain this, and people have this eye-opening moment, and they're like, oh, that's why I like it. That's why I like it. It makes sense. It's like other things. And then they want to create their own flows, and then it's like this whole thing, and it's so fun. So I love vinyasa. That's why I wanted to make this podcast, is because I just feel like there's so much to talk about. I want to talk. I want to chat. So we've covered, to recap, we've covered what a vinyasa is, what that means to take one, and the style of vinyasa, like as a practice, as a flow, as an adjective of a class. And I think the only other thing that I want to talk about is how flow and how it kind of mirrors things feels good in that way, and that's why people are so drawn to it, and that's why it's one of the more popular styles, or what I dare say, one of the most popular styles. And people would argue, like, no, hot yoga. Well, yeah, there's hot yoga that's a set series, and then there's hot yoga that's flow hot yoga. And so people think they're going to hot yoga, and they're going to a heated vinyasa flow class. And it really does just make your body feel good. Like, you are birthed, you get wonky, you learn, you strong, you courage, you, and like even the downhill the downhill part feels good. You're like, oh, I'm cooling down. I feel relaxed. I feel like I'm proud of myself and what I did up there, so I can come down the mountain gracefully and die. And then rebirth and do something new. So it feels good in your body. Like, it has this natural cadence that feels, dare I say, better than if you didn't follow such a thing. And there are some practices that don't really follow that bell curve. And energetically, are they designed that way? I'm sure, yes. I'm like, Kundalini, I'm looking at you. And those are designed to make you feel like, no, you're going to stay on top of that mountain. You're going to be high on the mountain forever. Is that possible? I don't know. So maybe we'll talk about that next time. Is the yoga high, all the endorphins, all the chemicals that we stir up in our little bodies when we do our exercises, and not just yoga, but like every running, everything. What is that? Am I just a little rug dealer when I teach classes? I don't know. So thank you for joining me. This is Multidimensional Being. My name is Addie. I don't even know if I said that in the beginning. My name is Addie. And I'll be back every Thursday and Sunday to talk, to chit chat, to yap, to be. To be. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Okay, now, bye-bye. Bye now. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.